Guys, over the next few days, I'm going to be dropping this baited camera deep on the reef, and hopefully we're going to find some big sharks. It's about 4:45. If I'm up, it means the sharks are awake. I guess we better head down to the beach. I just got down to the dive site and it's looking pretty good this morning. There's not many waves, nobody around, which is always nice. Now, it was great to get another species on the hit list yesterday, the blacktip reef shark, but there's still a couple of big sharks that we haven't seen here yet that I'm hoping we might get today. So that's primarily the scalloped hammerhead, the snaggletooth shark, and maybe a grey reef as well. A couple of rays as well would be a nice bonus. We haven't seen any stingrays here yet. So yeah, the plan is to wait a little bit till it's not completely pitch black. Maybe go in about 6:15 when the sun just starts coming up, and hopefully we'll have the camera down just as it's getting light, which should be perfect. Good. The electric clamp's nice. You find them a lot or no? You find them a lot? Yeah, I've never seen one before. No. So on the way back from dropping the camera, we actually found something that I've never seen before. This bizarre looking creature is an electric or disco clam, and is the only known bivalve in the entire world that produces its own light display. They're not actually electric though, and the light display is actually caused by reflective silica-rich cells on the edge of their mantles. We dropped this camera at about 6:30 in the morning. The hope was that we'd managed to find some sharks that were still hanging around in the shallow water after a night of hunting. At 35 meters down though, the reef was really dark, but it was teeming with life. Early on we picked up a few midnight snappers as they came over to check out the bait cage. As well as a big school of what I think are blue striped snappers. This big blubber-lip snapper was also swimming around, and he was accompanied by a massive school of unicorn fish and blue and yellow fusiliers. So the first big predator to take a proper interest in the camera was this massive red snapper. And it didn't take him long to start trying to break open the bait cage with his powerful jaws. He even managed to find the string that I'd used to close up the hole the Titan triggerfish had made in the bait cage the day before. Although I'm not entirely sure whether this was deliberate or whether he just got it stuck in his teeth. A close relative and rival of the red snapper, the mangrove red snapper, also came in for a closer look. However, it soon became pretty clear who was in charge after the red snapper made several attempts to chase the mangrove snapper away. So, whilst the red snapper was messing around with the bait cage, a couple of other species came by, including this bluefin trevally and a big redmouth grouper. A big school of giant trevally also showed up, as well as a school of another trevally species that I've not seen before. I think these are brassy trevally, characterised by the yellowish lower tail lobe that you can see much more clearly in this second clip. There was also a few sharks swimming around in the blue. It's pretty difficult to tell exactly what these are, but the white bellies make me think these are probably blacktip reef sharks. Although we also picked up a whitetip reef shark as well.
So when I first started this shark cam series, there were a few species that I really wanted to find. Now, when I dropped this camera, I thought there was maybe like a 10 or 15% chance that we might find one of them, but I definitely did not expect a clip as good as this one.
So this is a snaggletooth shark. Now, the crazy thing about this shark is that there's actually very little known about them in Indonesian waters, and they're very rarely seen. So it's absolutely fantastic to pick one of these up on the camera. This was one of the main targets on my hit list, and not only did we find one, but this is definitely the best shark clip I've recorded so far.
The plan is, we'll swim down 30 metres, turn left, swim this way 10-20 metres, put it down. And it's raining. There was lightning as well. Man, that dive site is so good for hammerheads. There's just nothing anywhere. So I've actually come to a different spot today, and the reason we came here is because I got a tip off from a friend of mine that historically some fishermen here used to catch big sharks from the beach, and not only that, some of them were hammerheads, scalloped hammerheads I believe. So we've come here today and we've just stuck a camera down. God, it is really raining hard now. This site's a little bit different. It is like a muck site, so there's lots of sand, but there literally is only sand. There's no rocks, nothing anywhere. We went down to about 35 meters. It's super overcast, so it was incredibly dark down there, but I must admit, it looks incredibly sharky. Like, I was just expecting the whole time whilst I was down there that something big was gonna come swimming up the sandy patch and meet me, which would have been good, I guess, but also maybe a little bit intimidating if it was a 3-meter hammerhead. Oh, and what I also forgot to mention was that you may have seen from the videos that I posted before that often we get sharks swim by, but they don't actually seem too interested in the bait. Now, the obvious exception to that one is literally the last camera I dropped, where that really cool snaggletooth came up and chewed on the bait cage. But I think in general the sharks are pretty smart, and they know that it's plastic and they're probably not really going to get a feed. So what we did today was actually mimic what some of the fishermen used to do here. When we bought a couple more fish and we tied them to a big rock that we placed in front of the camera, the hope is that the sharks will be attracted to the fish. Maybe we'll see one feed on the fish that we've left out the front of the camera. Now, I'm not going to make a habit of doing this because I don't want to be regularly feeding sharks, but I thought it'd be an interesting experiment to see whether, if the reef sharks come by or we get some hammerheads or something else, who knows, whether they do actually chow down on the fish that are outside of the bait cage. So let's see what happens. It's currently very wet. Let's hope for some hammerheads.
So annoyingly, we didn't really pick much up on this drop. The conditions look really good, but we dropped this camera in the middle of the day and I don't usually like to do that. However, there were a couple of big predators swimming around, including a great barracuda and this massive dog-toothed tuna. This does actually look like a big shark, and it could have been the hammerhead we were looking for, but frustratingly, it didn't let us have a closer look.
It's about 5:30 in the morning. We're actually back at the same spot that we dropped the last camera at. You'd have seen from the previous footage that we didn't really get much, but I don't feel like we've done this site justice yet. Today we're going to do something slightly different. Rather than drop the camera in the sand, we're going to swim a little bit left to this big pile of rocks. The plan is to head to the rocks, swim down to maybe 25-30 meters, and hopefully there's more bait fish down there, more snappers, etc. I'll probably try and put it at like 25-30 meters, but typically I always think this and then I end up dropping it at like 36 or 37 meters, so we will see what happens. So yeah, we're going to give this site one more go. Even if we don't get any hammerheads, I am hoping that we'll get some reef sharks this morning and maybe some rays as well.
So one of the crazy things you never think about when diving is how much life there is buried under the sand. Check out how these snails emerge from the sand and make a beeline straight for the fish. A big Titan trigger also swam up from the deep. Thankfully this time he was much more interested in the fish we tied up rather than the fish in the bait cage. And after dragging it around for a while and taking a few bites, he seemed to lose interest and swam off. So this is a cool little fish that we've not picked up on the baited cameras before.
These peacock razorfish can often be found on these sandy patches and have this crazy cool defense mechanism when disturbed. Check this out. Yes, that fish did just completely bury itself in the sand. Now, the razorfish were actually pretty protective over their food, and they even chased off this big bream a few times. This was also another first. If you look closely, you can see this small little blenny or goby that manages to squeeze himself through the holes in the bait cage. He must have been having an absolute feast in there. A few big predators also came by, including this massive dogtooth tuna that's probably over 1 meter long. There were also a couple of whitetip reef sharks swimming about, although they didn't come too close to the camera this time. So when we went to pick this camera up, the fish that we'd left in the sand had disappeared. Whilst I'd hoped that this was the handiwork of a big hammerhead, this is actually what happened. This great barracuda managed to swallow the 2 fish whole. And after plucking up the courage, he also went for the bait cage as well. Guys, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button and let me know your favourite bit in the comments. I promise you I will find those hammerheads soon.